This is running really, really well again here on the Yama, on Ugui, on Asian Smelt, and even on Longnose Sucker. So out with the fish. There is the next Longnose Sucker. Super rare, that fish, and I would absolutely love for it to go in here someday as a trophy. I have been looking for it for a very, very, very long time. Yeah, and here you might actually have the chance that it eventually goes in. On the side though, you also still have the chance for Ugui and Asian Smelt, and there is the next one. Yeah, that actually makes this really interesting here. I already tested around a bit here last night. There wasn't really that much going on yet, and now you can actually notice it in the morning hours. So roughly around 5 o'clock, it suddenly really started going. More and more bites, higher and higher frequency, and now it is slowly getting stressful again here while float fishing. I am out here now with 3 rods. 3 rods, however, all with line clips, so that it maybe isn't quite as stressful. How this whole thing is set up, we'll go into that in detail in just a moment. I already showed something similar in the last float tutorial on Bolognese fishing, so exactly how you basically do this and what exactly is happening there. You can also see that in the Bolognese tutorial, so definitely take a look there if you are interested in float fishing in Russian fishing 4. It's worth it, and it keeps going. And the next one? Yeah. And now here at this spot, yeah, like I said, it can slowly get a bit stressful. What I am doing here now is that I am, of course, using the current. We want drift fishing here as the guiding method, so to speak. And I always cast loosely against the current so that the bait then drifts down nicely and slowly with the current for a long time. And then back there at the red float, we just saw it. That one has already gone into the line clip. 1, 2, 3, man, all 3 just now, not hooked. That is cheeky. So again, we now cast this one out loosely again, this one here again as well. And then we let it drift through nicely until it reaches the line clip. I don't even cast very far. At the beginning, I tried casting much farther, but I have to say up front in the close range, it works much better. So right here where the eye is right now in this area, just let it drift through. Behind that, there is kind of a darker area. We don't even want to go there. So exactly in this area where they are drifting through right now, it works really well. And back here, the rods are beeping right now, and they are going into the line clip. Okay, not hooked, but we still have it. Asian Smelt. And as soon as they are in the line clip, I think there's also something on there. Yes, perfect. As soon as they are inside the line clip, they don't drift any further. Even so, of course, a bite can still happen there. And when the bite happens, or when the fish bites, in that moment the line clip opens and the float continues drifting. Now we have that here with the red one. It went into the line clip. The float is, of course, still drifting a little bit further in the current, but not very far anymore. And that is super important, so you are not constantly cranking when you are busy with rod 1 and rod 2. In the meantime, otherwise, float 3 would keep drifting further and further, and then you are constantly just cranking, and that would simply be too much cranking. Both not hooked. Oh, now I need to take a look. I'll set the drag a bit higher on both as well. When it slips like that, it's always worse. It always makes this Z-zip, and then the drag slips, and that's a disaster. Then it never hooks, especially when you want to have to be fast here on the bites. The drag has to grab immediately. So, cast out loosely again. And now we also take the third one again. So nicely, 3 floats, 3 rods, one after the other. You can also do this perfectly here with the Bolognese rod. You could maybe even do this with the telescopic rod here. Then you don't even have to let it drift that far. And there is also something on there. Yes, nicely hooked again. Yeah, and that rhythm is of course perfect then. 1 fish after the other. Yes, the next Longnose Sucker, and there we directly have the next one. Yeah, that's how it's really good, right? When they come in one after another. In the meantime, right now, it's exactly the yellow float. It is already back in the line clip again, and is not drifting further now. And I still have exactly enough time to cast out the other rods again. bring in the next fish, and now I can relax for a moment. Wait. And first, still take care of this rod here. Okay, that one simply didn't hook. But that is exactly the advantage of the line clip, so that it isn't quite as stressful and so that the floats don't constantly run away. Even so, you still have the chance that back there in the line clip, I have it set to 15 meters now. That fish still go in there. So it's not like the drift fishing continues beyond that point. It ends in that area. But even so, fish still bite there. So you still have the chance that something goes in there. And because of that, it's really not wrong. It makes the whole thing, like I said, a bit more relaxed. You can just take care of the next rod when you have the time for it. So now again, cast out loosely here, and again here. I can actually imagine very well that this works even better with Bolognese rods. If you are out here with a long 8-meter Bolognese rod, then you might even have a slightly better hooking effect, and the baits naturally stay further out and don't drift so close to the shore. The yellow float here now is drifting closer and closer to the shore bit by bit, and there goes the next one. Yes. And here there is also something on, also hooked. Very nice. And yeah, this drifting toward the shore along the edge is of course normal, right? The shorter the rod we use here, the closer the bait drifts toward the shore. So now let's slowly take care of the standing one again. And there goes the next one, and hooked again. It is stressful, I'm telling you, it is stressful. But if I have the chance here to finally catch the Longnose Sucker as a trophy, well, then I have to push through, right? Same thing with Ugui. Ugui is really worth it in terms of silver. We'll take a look at that in a moment, how that looks. Once the night hours here and then the daytime. So far, I would say really good. I would also say that right around midday, so 12 o'clock, I'll take a short break, and then we'll also take a look in the cafe to see how much silver these fish bring. And of course, we'll also take another look at the setup, how everything here is built. So now there is also something on, but not hooked. Yeah, the small Asian smelt also go in again and again. There were also some fairly big ones among them, so, well, that might have been a bit too shallow up front. Let's go a bit further out there, nicely into the current. The longer it drifts, the longer it moves through here. Cast into the current again here, and then the third one again after that. And then you immediately have a nice rhythm again. One after the other, all at a nice even distance. Then it runs ideally really well. Oh right, the depths. Yes, we definitely have to take a look at the depths in a moment as well. I also experimented there up to 1.5 meters depth, and now I am mostly around about 1 meter depth here in this close range. 1 meter depth, 80 centimeters depth. We can take a look. This rod here is currently set to 1 meter depth. There was just a bite on it. Let's bring this one in again, let it drift through again, and then we'll take a quick look here. Here we are at 80 centimeters depth. That has also delivered quite well, and there goes another one at 1 meter depth. Very good. Yeah, maybe 1 meter depth is actually a bit more interesting. Longnose Sucker is also more of a fish that is active on the bottom. You know what? Then we'll do that here again as well. Then I'll go a bit deeper here directly if I have an increased chance there. 1.1 meters here, and cast out loosely again. And the third rod here, quickly check the depth again. So 1 meter, 1.1 meters. Here it is already set to 1.1 meters as well. So I think that fits quite well. You can of course also do it in a way where you lay the bait on the bottom. I can show that in a moment as well. And then the float drifts past even more slowly. That is definitely an option if you want to fish specifically for Longnose Sucker here. Works quite well again and again because it is so active on the bottom. Now let's bring this rod back again. And then I'll go here. Let's do 1.5 meters, or I'll just exaggerate it straight away. I'll go to 2 meters depth here. And then we'll still stay right here in the close range. And now the float is basically dragging. It will tip over properly now or stay really flat. And the bait now pulls very slowly over the bottom. You can also see it by the speed. It is now clearly much slower right away. because the bait is on the bottom and is constantly breaking. And that of course offers the suckers a longer chance to bite. Especially in these bottom spots, that naturally works quite well. So the yellow one is already going into the line clip again. The blue one is about to follow at 15 meters, and the red one had, I think, a bite and not hooked. Again, not hooked. Annoying. This Z-zip unfortunately happens from time to time. What helps a bit is setting the drag higher. You just have to experiment a bit with how high you can set it so the line doesn't break, because I'm also relatively, oh, there is something? Yes, and hooked. Very good, because you see, the drifting just suddenly stopped. And then you notice it immediately. So when the float behaves differently, it stays angled and drifts, and when it behaves differently, straightens up or stops, then there is immediately a fish on it holding the bait down on the bottom. That is always a very good sign. So now we also have something on here. I would say that I'll take a quick look at the setup now, and then we basically have everything covered here. So this is what the whole thing looks like. I am out here with the Rebellion match rods. Really good. Definitely worth recommending. Also from the video, what to buy in the end game. Definitely take a look there if you are still unsure what is really worth it in the game and what you don't necessarily need. The whole thing is assembled here with 7.8 kilograms fluorocarbon as the main line, so to speak. No leader at all. Fluorocarbon as the main line and size 6 hooks. With double bait, of course. Stonefly larva and mayfly larva in combination, and built exactly the same way on all 3 rods. So now let's quickly make sure we capture everything here. And then I would say, oh, there is even another one on. We'll of course take that one as well. And then I would say, let's take a quick look into the net to see what the fish bring. In the cafe, we also have in there again and again, Ugui and Longnose Sucker. So both are in, and even Asian Smelt, and even Char. There was also one in there just now. I think a stone loach was also in there. So those can also go in here, but they are rather rare. Yeah, Longnose Sucker, that already looks quite good. 400 grams, that's enough. Then we of course take the smallest Ugui here, also sort by weight here. Then we also sell the 2 very small ones with 200 grams. That means we already have the first 100 silver here. That looks good. I will probably be able to complete that assignment very soon as well. So 6 Asian Smelt for another 100 silver. And overall, this is what it looks like right now. Of course, everything is still a bit dampened by the night phase. At night, there is significantly less going on, but the fish are worth it. And especially if you have a spot where a lot of Ugui are going in, then it is really worth it. Sort by time once again, and then you can see this phase down here, roughly in this area. That was okay. So these 20 minutes at night were okay, but it wasn't really great either. And there was also a lot of testing involved here. I also cast much farther, but in the close range, I would say it is really quite good and definitely worth it. Just from the Longnose Sucker alone, up to 1.3 kilograms went in. There is definitely more possible. So get to the spot and finally fish nicely again for Longnose Sucker, for Ugui, and for Asian Smelt. What more could you want? If you liked it, leave a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and then I'll see you in the next video. Until then, tight line.